What are you waiting for? No, really, when you're thinking about making a move, changing direction, walking away from what's no longer working, what are you waiting for? Because I hear this all the time. You're waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to leave, okay to change, okay to want something more. But here's the truth most people don't want to admit. You're not stuck because you don't have options, especially the professionals I work with. You're stuck because you're waiting for permission that is never coming. And you've been waiting so long, you don't even notice it anymore. There's an invisible leash, if you will, that most highly successful people don't even realize they're wearing. And the most powerful thing you will ever do is cut it yourself. This isn't just quit advice. This isn't about burning everything down or walking away recklessly. This is about permission you've been conditioned to wait for, and why the most strategic move you'll ever make is giving it to yourself. So think back to your first real job, your first performance review. What did they tell you success looked like? Put in the hours, don't make waves, even be grateful, stay in your lane. Promotion is the reward for patience, not performance. So you did exactly that. You became reliable, professional, low maintenance. You learned to translate "I'm unhappy" into "how can I be more valuable here?" You learned to ask for permission before you asked for what you wanted. And now you've done everything right, hit every milestone they said, exceeded expectations, and yet you still feel like you need a green light to walk away. What if I leave and regret it? What will my mentor think? Who vouched for me? Am I allowed to want something different after the 3 years they developed it and invested in me? These aren't just questions, they're loyalty tests you're administering to yourself. So you wait. Here's the checklist that keeps people waiting for years. I'll make a move after the next performance review, after I get that certification, after I save a little more, after quarter two, after my boss finally acknowledge what I've known for a year, that I've outgrown this. But let's be honest about what you're actually waiting for. You're waiting for somebody to say you've earned the right to want more. You're not selfish for prioritizing yourself. You're not crazy for feeling misaligned. You're waiting for someone else to make the decision so you don't have to. You're not waiting for timing. You're not waiting for certainty. You're waiting for permission. And it's not coming because no one else lives in your body. No one else carries your value, and no one else has to live with your regrets. Asking for input, that's wisdom. Waiting for approval, that's outsourcing your autonomy. Self-trust isn't recklessness. It's the only strategy that actually works. What happens when you keep waiting? Let me show you the pattern. Year one, resentment. You're frustrated, but you're functional. You tell yourself it's temporary just to get through the quarter, this project, or this cycle. Year two, performance becomes the trap. You're so good at what you do that they promote you. But that's more responsibility, more recognition, more reasons to stay. And you realize something terrifying. Your excellence has become your cage. The better you perform, the harder it is to leave. And year three, identity crisis. You don't even recognize yourself anymore. You're performing a role you've outgrown, resenting the success you're still achieving, perfecting a room that feels smaller every day. And the worst part, everyone thinks you're thriving. It's not the job that's burning you out. It's staying in a space that's too small and trying to convince yourself to make it work. So let me be clear. There's no gold watch coming, no permission slip, no moment where someone says you've waited long enough. There's just your willingness to believe yourself. I know what you're thinking. What if I'm wrong? What if this is just a bad month? Or what if I blow up something good because I'm being impatient? But here's the difference. Impatience is reactive, and it sounds like, I can't stand this one more day. But authority is responsive. It sounds like, this no longer aligns with who I'm becoming. Impatience is about escape. Authority is about expansion. You're not abandoning your career. You're not burning it down. You're expanding it. And when you stop waiting for permission and start designing your next move, something shifts. You stop performing for an audience. You start building for yourself. You stop asking, am I allowed? And you start asking, what do I actually want? But before you can design what's next, you have to see clearly what's now. Let's take inventory. And let me tell you a story that changed how I think about career moves entirely. Now, about a decade ago, a senior manager gave me advice. I didn't fully understand it at the time. He said, sometimes you have to go back to being a soldier. I thought I got it. I nodded. I filed it away. And then I got laid off years later. And that advice became the decision that changed everything. Here's what happened. After the layoff, I was offered a role I was overqualified for. And every instinct told me to wait for something worthy of my experience. My ego said this was beneath me. My network probably would have thought it was a step down. But I took the job anyway. Not because I was desperate, but because I was strategic. I had an exit plan the day I entered that role. And 3 years later, 3 promotions, 177% salary increase, a company-paid relocation, and I became the top 1% performer at a U.S. Fortune 50 company. So here's the lesson no one talks about. If I had let my ego lead that decision, I would have missed that opportunity entirely. Going back to being a soldier didn't mean accepting less. It meant checking my ego long enough to see the strategic path forward. Because here's what most people don't understand. The difference between a step back and a step down. A step back is strategic. You know where you're going and you're positioning for leverage. You're building runway, you're gathering intel, you're creating options. A step down is reactive. You're taking what you can get because you didn't have a plan and you're operating from scarcity, not strategy. I didn't take that role to stay there. I took it to build runway, to prove value, and exit with leverage when I was ready. That's the power of entering with an exit plan. Sometimes the smartest career move looks like humility, but underneath it's strategy. When I say, see clearly what's now, I mean this. You have to separate your ego from your strategy. You have to know the difference between what looks good on LinkedIn and what actually positions you for the life you want. You have to ask yourself, am I making this decision because it sounds impressive or because it gets me closer to where I'm actually trying to go? Because the moves that change your life, they rarely look like the moves that impress other people. And if you're waiting for permission to make a move, that doesn't make sense to anyone but you. That's what we're about to talk about. Before you make any moves, I want you to do one thing for 1 week. Track your permission seeking, not to judge it, just to see it. Grab your phone, open a note, title it permission tracking. And every time you catch yourself thinking or saying, I should probably, they might think, I need to wait until, I don't want to seem. What if they're disappointed? Write it down. Just the phrase, just the context of it. Monday morning meeting, track it. Thursday email draft, track it. Weekend conversation with your partner, track it. By Friday, you'll have a list. Now ask yourself 3 questions about each one. 1, whose voice is this really? Is it your boss, a parent, an old mentor, a younger version of you? 2, what am I actually afraid will happen? Not things will be bad. Be specific. Write the actual worst case scenario you're avoiding. 3, if I gave myself permission right now, what would I do differently tomorrow? Not in 6 months, not after the next review, tomorrow. This isn't about eliminating all the external input. It's about seeing how much of your decision making is still running on someone else's operating system. You don't need permission. You need clarity on whose voice has been making your decisions. So if tracking that list, if the thought of it makes you uncomfortable, you are in a good place. Trust me. That discomfort is the part of you that's ready to stop asking and start building. Here's what I know. You can track permission seeking on your own, but dismantling it That takes more than awareness. It takes structure, community, and someone who's already walked the path. And this is where CAPE comes in. And CAPE isn't about me giving you permission. It's about you learning to trust yourself enough that you don't need mine or anyone else's. We're together 6 weeks, 12 success survivors, one framework for moving from waiting to building. We dismantle the condition that says wait. We design the life that makes you say now. And we build the internal authority to move without approval. So here's what makes CAPE different. This isn't therapy. It's not pep talk. It's not another framework telling you what you should want. It's a space to figure out what you actually want and the step-by-step plan to build it without burning everything down. We work on the real stuff. Your calendar and how you're spending your days, your boundaries and where you're leaking energy, your next move, and how to make it strategic, not reactive. CAPE cohort, the next one starts February 23rd, 12 seats for professionals who are done rehearsing and ready to build. The link is in the description to learn more. It's not a pitch. There's no pressure. It's just what it is, who it's for, and whether it's right for you, which, by the way, is yours to decide, not your manager's, not your partner, not LinkedIn, but yours. You don't need anyone to tell you it's time. You've known for months, maybe years. The most radical thing you can do in a world that taught you to wait, to be grateful, to trust yourself more, trust the process. No one is coming to save you from a life you're choosing every day. But here's the good news. You don't need saving. You just need to give yourself permission to move. And this is it. This is your sign. You already know what you need to do. The question is whether you'll finally let yourself do it. Until the next video, may your next move be your best move.